So today is a very special day, people, because today there is no bad news at all to speak of. It's just good news after good news after good news. Everything we're going to be talking about is just exciting stuff about Apple Silicon and how the transition could be over by the beginning of 2022. So in under 2 years, we could see Apple's whole lineup, and I mean the complete lineup, be transitioned from Intel, which is to Apple Silicon, which everybody knows is mind-boggling. So without further ado, let's get into this very exciting report. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification. With that being said, let's just tuck in. So all of this information comes from a very trustworthy source, Mark Gurman. He's been doing this for a decade. Everybody knows him in the Apple community, so we can trust this piece of information. And he basically starts off the report by saying that apparently industry watchers are very surprised at how ambitious Apple is going to be with their next 2 lines of Apple Silicon chips, and that this is undoubtedly going to blow away the competition. So what exactly will be this chip that blows away the competition? Well, apparently it's a chip with 32, you heard me right, 32 performance chips. I am speechless. I have no words to illustrate how insane that is. Think about the amount of performance Apple's getting from the M1 chip, which has 4 performance cores. It has 4 performance cores, 4 efficiency cores. This chip is going to have 32 performance cores. So I can't even begin to fathom the amount of power this Mac chip is gonna have. Like, seriously, this is supercomputer levels, and I can't even, I am just so mind blown right now. This is insane, and we could be seeing this chip as soon as 2021. 2021, we could be getting this in a consumer level product. In fact, Mark Gurman tells us we should expect this beast of a chip in the upcoming Mac Pro. Now, he mentions it as a half-sized Mac Pro, which honestly could mean 2 things. Either we see a Mac Pro Mini that slots alongside the regular Mac Pro we have right now, or this Mac Pro Mini will replace the standard Mac Pro, because as we've seen with the Mac Mini, M1 and Apple Silicon components in general doesn't take up a lot of space, and so Apple can make these machines much smaller. Honestly, I just feel bad for all the Mac Pro users out there who spent upwards of $30,000 on a machine last year only for it to be replaced by a Mac Pro half the size and with 32 performance cores. I can't bloody get over that. How has Apple achieved this? In fact, Intel's best chip right now only has 28 cores in total. This has 32 performance cores. So we're not counting the efficiency cores, just the performance cores. That's 32. Of course, not everyone has a spare $30,000 lying around their house to buy a Mac Pro, so obviously for us mortals we need the 16-inch MacBook Pro and of course the iMac. And thankfully, there are some pretty exciting stuff happening over there too, because allegedly Apple is working on a chip with 16 performance cores. You heard me right, a MacBook Pro could have 16 performance cores. That's also pretty insane. Like, honestly, I'm just speechless throughout this whole thing because I have no words to express how amazed and how just incredible this all is. Like, seriously, huge props to the engineering team over at Apple. Anyways, coming back to the chip, Mark Gurman does say that, guys, there could be some issues with the fabrication process of a 16 performance core chip in a MacBook Pro. And so he does say that maybe we should expect the chip to end up being a 12 core or 8 core chip instead when it comes to the real deal in the final product. And of course, that is understandable, and not to mention the M1 chip right now is an 8 core chip, and you've seen what it can do. So I'm perfectly fine with an 8 core chip in the 16-inch MacBook Pro. The current Intel chips are also 8 cores, so yeah, it should be fine. Obviously, 16 cores would be insane, but if that doesn't happen, I'm fine with 8 cores. That should be plenty for many users, and of course it's still Apple Silicon at the end of the day, so it should be pretty amazing. Now, if you were wondering, the first Mac in 2021 that's going to be getting the Apple Silicon upgrade seems to be the redesigned MacBook Pros, and I've mentioned these many times in a lot of videos. It's pretty much all I discuss nowadays. But anyways, if you want a final recap, iPad Pro-like design, Face ID, thinner bezels, Apple Silicon. Those are the big upgrades. It's going to be exciting. Oh, and mini LED. How could I forget mini LED? That's going to be pretty exciting. Overall, the MacBook Pros are shaping up to be pretty amazing stuff. And of course, I am looking forward to that, and we can expect that as soon as spring 2021. Next up is obviously the iMac. So he says the entry-level model and the higher-end versions of the iMac should be completely replaced with, of course, a redesign and Apple Silicon. Again, a very anticipated machine. Everybody's been waiting for an Apple Silicon redesigned iMac for years now, so it's nice it's going to be finally happening. That should probably be expected around WWDC in my opinion, but we could see it sooner. Either way, 2021 is the year we finally get a redesign to the iMac. That is long overdue. And of course, to finish off the year, we have the Mac Pro, or the Mac Pro Mini, whatever they're going to call it, but the machine with 32 performance cores. Let me remind you, that's mind-boggling stuff. So I can't wait to see how that performs in terms of Geekbench scores, because that's going to blow pretty much every computer that's ever existed. I'm telling you right now, that's gonna be historic stuff indeed. Now, of course, as impressive as Apple's CPU performance is, the GPU performance of the M1 is decent, but obviously not mind-blowing. But apparently, Apple's gonna be changing that too, because they're working very hard on giving us better GPUs with their more high-end Apple Silicon Macs. So allegedly, for their high-end laptops like the 16-inch MacBook Pro, and of course mid-range desktops like the iMac, Apple is testing a 16-core and 32-core graphics chip. So yes, this will blow pretty much every dedicated GPU they're using on their Macs right now, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty mad. In fact, if you thought that was impressive, there's actually more, because Apple is also working on a 64-core and 128-core dedicated GPU for, of course, the Mac Pro and possibly higher-end versions of the iMac, but that's just easily going to blow away literally every GPU on the market possibly, and I also can't wait to see that. So that is pretty much all in terms of the informations Mark Gurman told us about these future Apple Silicon Macs. And yes, I'm aware this video is mostly me saying,
"Wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's impressive. Wow, that's mind-boggling. Wow, I can't wait to see this."
But honestly, I really have nothing else to say right now, because I am taken back by what I'm seeing here, and I can't wait to see this. I'm truly excited for this technology, and Apple Silicon right from the beginning, I knew it would be something big, but I just didn't expect it to be this good. And guys, I'm just over the moon. I'm just really happy as an Apple fanboy that Apple is finally thriving with their Macs and their Silicon, and it's just very exciting times ahead of us, and I just can't wait for 2021 for more awesome Apple Silicon Macs. And on that note, it is time to end. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.